Hello, true art believers, and welcome to today's live art stream. This is Pierson. I am the number one live art streamer in the world. How are you doing today? So, today we're going to talk about drawing the torso in another variation from last time. So, a little bit different. Still going to kind of continue the same type of pathway that we've been doing for the past few, I don't know, live streams. I don't know. Anyhow, so we're gonna work on drawing the human torso, but done in a different strategy from before. But we're gonna do like a little rehearsal or a refresher from last time. So I hope you learn a little bit, and I hope you enjoy today's live art stream. Cheers. Let's begin. All right, welcome. I hope you're doing well. Let me just clear out some things here. Go all the way down here. And we're going to use this thing. There we go. All right. And so before we begin, just like before, I want to kind of do a few warm-ups. Okay, we're going to do a few warm-ups, and then we're going to kind of talk about the torso again, but in a different way. It's going to be a different way. So again, like what I typically do is we're going to be doing some just oval forms. Maybe I'll do some circular forms here. You know, just to kind of get used to these forms. And then let's do 5 to 10 oval forms first. That's going to kind of get us warmed up for the drawing process here, right? 5 to 10 oval forms, and that's supposed to kind of signify the rib cage and so forth. I know it sounds boring, and some of you might think of this as silly, but like for me, I really need this simply because I don't want to jump in kind of like raw, without being warmed up. It's like kind of like you do squats, right? You're doing squats, and you you don't want to jump and do your PR with no practice, right? So you want to kind of get a few warm up sessions in, kind of get your hand eye coordination up to speed and so forth. And I know this is a simple little exercise. Since in some maybe you can do like other exercises, just kind of making marks, right? Maybe you want to kind of do some straight line exercises where you practice some of your straight lines. Just something to kind of get started. And the reason why I'm doing this is because to get warmed up, but also I'm not doing like gestural drawings. Typically, when you're doing like this type of stuff, you do like five to 30 minutes of like at least a lot of people that I know, a lot of artists will do like gestural drawings. They'll do like quick sketches, right? They'll do quick references or quick gestural drawings of the figure to kind of get their kind of synapses going, I guess. So maybe let's do a few cylinders that are going to represent. Maybe they could be representative of a torso or like the bottom part of the torso. So just kind of getting used to doing these forms so that they're easier to do each time. Now, if you haven't done cylinders and so forth, they're not inherently, they're like a simple object, but they're not inherently like easy to do, especially if you don't practice them or practice drawing every day. So if you're not constantly drawing, doing simple shapes are going to be kind of hard for you. And I say this, I want to say this. I don't want to be like mean or anything. I'm not the greatest at these either. Um, but it's always good to kind of come in humble when you're doing your work, even if you are really exceptional at what you do. So just doing stuff over and over again, even if it's like the basic stuff, is going to kind of build up your threshold. And what that means is like your average, your normal average. So like think of it like a batting average. When you're drawing your batting average, right? when you're first, okay, so think of it like baseball. So your batting average, I don't know whatever, I don't know the range, but like think of it like that, where you let's say here, I need it. That's not a good average. So when you first starting out like little league, I guess, and you have a terrible average, you're not able to you hit like once every one time a game. Whatever that batting average is probably not really good. Um, but like whatever it's like, I think point 0.3 is a really, really good batting average. So what you want to do is increase your batting average each time, meaning your ability to do simple forms is going to it's going to have compounding effects on your large your on your final drawings. So if you're able to do simple forms, then you're able to make them more complex as you move along. Okay, so I think we've done enough here. I'm going to select these layers and just delete them. Yeah, we're going to delete all those layers there. All right, so we're going to do another thing. So last time what we did was we we kind of discussed this simple, using a simple form here, to kind of express the torso, right? So basically a kind of a box or rectangle type shape, and then you have for the hips another box or rectangular type of shape, right? So for the hips, right? And so we were using that as a structure for our drawing, and then we went a little bit more elaborate, where what we did was we moved towards kind of like we discussed an egg-like shape, right? That was used as a kind of a rib cage like structure, you know, for your drawing. Now, each one of these variations of structures is perfectly fine. Some people like doing one or the other. Some people do a mixture of them, right? And then also using like some people would use like a boxy kind of like a skew shape like this to kind of discern hips or the hip area. So these are relatively the same type of things. The next thing that some people would do is they would let's kind of, yeah, leave it like that, is they do the same thing, but whoops, they do the same thing with it, but they do another boxy or another egg-like shape here. And then they would have their hips would be different. They wouldn't be this shape right here. They would be some sort of like, it'd be like they take this shape, this exact shape right here. And so they take the shape, like this shape, and then what they do is they cut this section out. They would remove it from it. So they'd cut it out. So they'd have it completely out of the picture. So they remove this area. And what that would do is you'd have something like this, right? You'd have kind of like a U-like shape, right? And what that would look like if you were to kind of put that into perspective is you would have this this shape here, that if you were to kind of draw it out, it'd be like the equivalence of hips, right? Because if you look at a pelvis, it kind of makes this shape, and so some artists will do this shape as well. And I also said that some will do like they'll do let's say they'll do let's expand this image here. We're going to canvas size. We're going to make it 17 inches from, let's see, there we go. We're gonna make it 17 inches. So we're just gonna move over to the left side here, right? And so what some will do is, I think I talked about this earlier. is, well, artists will sometimes they'll just do a very simple like circle on circle thing, and then some will add like these kind of like these spigots here, or these little wheels to kind of symbolize like where they put your arms in, where you put your legs. And that's a perfectly valid way to do it. But what I want to kind of talk about today is another way of drawing the torso. It's something I've been researching these different various ways to kind of draw the torso, so that I can kind of figure out which ways I like personally and which ways some other individuals might like in the process. So maybe this one might work for you a little bit better. Um, Again, I'm just barely tapping the surface on some of these ideas. So I only know them almost a little bit past face value, and I'm kind of extrapolating what my knowledge of what I know in drawing in the figure. So this is really a good way to kind of do like superhero figures, like how artists do superhero figures. Like what it's kind of like. It's a very simple way. I think these type of styles right here are really good to use if you're drawing from life, and you're drawing from life, and you're drawing just an average person, you know. And also, it's good if you're one of those artists that wants to literally draw from the inside out. And some artists like to do that. Me personally, I'm trying to I'm trying to dive into that, so I have a better knowledge of how that works. So this way is a little bit different. So this way, it's very simple. You're not really drawing inside out. You're drawing like a mannequin type shape, and then you're adding on clay, right? You're adding clay, aka you're adding muscle. So that's like a quote from Arnold Schwarzenegger. Was like, I want to when I work out, I imagine I'm a sculpture. Instead of chiseling out the form, I'm adding on more clay to add. Like if I want to have bigger delts, I just add more clay on. So this is a very simple method to kind of structure a torso. So something like this would be where you kind of do this. It's What would this look like? It's kind of a let's see. It's kind of like, I guess, the way to kind of imagine it is if you were to draw a square or a rectangle, right? And then like two triangles or pyramids on the sides, right? That's how you would imagine this shape. And what this is supposed to signify is supposed to signify, this really works for like really well for like the male figure. This would signify like the chest, right? And then what you would do is you would basically from here you'd add like these arcing forms here, and that's supposed to signify like your ribs. So you can it would be like a adding a not like that, adding a one of those egg shaped things a little bit, right? So you'd add those arcing forms in there, and then you'd add kind of like either it could be this way. It could be an arcing shape, like an arcing V, like that, or it could just be a straight, like you just made an angular V, like this, right? And that could be a simplistic way of doing it, right? It's basically doing what this thing is doing right here. It's doing what this is doing right here, but only it's angular. Okay, so that's what's happening here. And then what you would consider doing after imagining that there's maybe a kind of like a half circle here, that you cut out a cheese wedge like that, you know. Actually, that could be a good reference. Is what you do is you'd add. I know I'm kind of adding all these ideas here. So you'd have your square shape right here, which would signify your chest kind of form. And then inside that square shape, you would or inside that form, you'd add kind of like a circle, and then you pull out kind of like a cheese wedge. So that could be a way to kind of think about it. And I might use that. That's a really good idea, where you have a circle like this. You add kind of a square on top of it like this. Then you add kind of these triangular forms, maybe not like as prominent like this. And then you basically get this form right here. And then from there you cut out a section of cheese, right? And so that's how you kind of start this form. The next thing you would want to do is in this area right here, pretend that you're adding like a cylinder, or it could just be you're adding a rectangular shape on top like this, you know? So that's one way to start how you can think about it. So let's make this area a little bit larger. Canvas size. We're gonna add 25. We have to make it 25 width. Oops. We're gonna make it canvas size 25 wide. So we're adding more space to the side here, right? Where we're talking about these forms. So let's kind of break this down again. Let's go back and readdress what these shapes that we're talking about. All right. And so this is what I've been learning. I've been looking at these things that other people have been doing, and so this is not my idea. This is someone else's thing. What is mine is an even more defined way, or a more oversimplification of forms to kind of come to the same conclusion. So let's do it this way. So let's right here you'd have your square, right? Plus those like triangular shapes on the side, right? And then plus a kind of a circular shape on top of your square. And then you'd have another square shape or a rectangular shape. So let's do another one. So like you'd add plus it could be like another, let's just say like a, kind of like this. So let's do something real quick. Let's oops. Nope. Now how do you copy? Okay, Control C. Control C and V, right? Oops. No. This, you add this, and then let's go here. We're just going to add these forms here. Control C, V, oops. Wrong layer. I don't know what I'm doing here. What is going on? What's this? Oh, I kind of selected something. I didn't mean to do that. All right. I don't know all the keys, the hotkeys to Photoshop. So whenever I do something accidentally, I'm not doing it on purpose. We're going to move this. Control C. Oops. I'm saying it. And then V. There we go. Press V. Right. You move that right there. Let's shrink it down just like this, And then you'd have your, wow, I'm already running out of space. And then you go here and you press, we're going to select this circle here. Control C, V, and then press V, move it. Right, so something like that. And totally forgot, but you would cut out a wedge here. You take out a piece of cheese. So what you would do is you'd press B and you would take out a piece of cheese here to make your torso, right? Like that. And then you'd do the same here. And it goes right on top here. Now, maybe a little bit, it could be down like this. There's a little bit of manipulation here, but you get the idea. All right, so it could be something like that, where you add all these shapes to make your torso. So let's do it all over again. Let's go here, and we're going to add more. We're going to make this canvas even larger. I wasn't expecting to go. Oh my gosh. All right. Canvas size. It shouldn't be this big. This is going to make a big file. Right, so 35 inches. So that's how we can kind of look at the figure. So let's kind of draw this all over again. And let's press B. And we're gonna. So from here, you start out by, we just do that whole thing, but we're not gonna add all these different shapes. We're just gonna do what I was talking about earlier. And you're gonna make your form here like this. Essentially what we were talking about earlier for your torso. And then you will add that circle-like shape that we're talking about earlier. I don't like the size brush that I use. I generally like using thicker brushes and then kind of tighten it down later on. It just feels weird to kind of have it that thick. And then you have your, you can take that and make your form and add like a shape right here for the torso. And then if you want to make it a little bit more elaborate, some people will do they'll kind of make a triangular shape, or like the underwear shape that you see here, to kind of express the torso in a different light. All right. So, and then from there, you just, this is where you can start by kind of adding more details to the torso and kind of tightening up your form here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of make a wedge here. A wedge here for the like the clavicle area and neck. So that's the what is it? The sternum, or is this the sternum? I don't remember this name. I got to find out what that part is. But anyways, it's a landmark for your drawing. And so you do something like this. Again, we're making superhero figures, so you can kind of get away with anatomy to some extent. And so as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm changing that shape of that angle of that like triangle shape, and we're just kind of making it more of our own. Like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a little larger because I'm getting kind of rigid. Right? I'm getting kind of rigid. And I'm going to get a little bit more kind of like kind of loose with how I'm applying my form here. So we're adding these oval forms on top that can act as like deltoids. And we're just kind of doing a straight down type of drawing. We're doing like a very static, like statuesque form. We're not getting into like elaborate like twisting and such, because this might not work too well on that. I don't have enough experience. I think if another artist would be able to kind of talk about it and how they would personally be able to contort this type of form here. But I don't know. I would have to fiddle around with it, see how and work around that type of um, figure to see how these drawings are, how they're kind of being drawn. I'm making this guy like huge. Oh yeah, it's too big, the brush. So what I'm doing now is I'm just kind of doing a few different things to kind of express form. So what you see here, what I'm doing for the arm is I'm making a rectangle. Again, we're doing a very simplistic straight up and down approach. We're acting like this guy's at a in the army and he's at attention, right? So we're doing a like a rectangular form here for the bicep, and then from that deltoid, what I did was I made kind of like a triangular cap on the side, right, like that. So it's kind of like a triangular cap. So it doesn't have to be like that. That's just a way of kind of thinking about your arms in shapes and forms, you know. And it's not the best way actually. It's kind of rigid. When I say rigid, it kind of makes it's gonna it kind of locks in your form too much. So you'd use this as a simple like guideline, and then you go on top of it to kind of change it accordingly. You know. I'm not really. I'm not one of those comic artists that really do a lot of that does a lot of like these these hyper muscular figures. So I'm not really an expert. So now here's what you could do for the arm here is let's imagine a triangular shape since we're doing or since we're just doing a static figure, like not actiony, not doing any like foreshortening, literally face forward, and you're not seeing anything special happening. So let's imagine that you want to do the forearms. So let's what you could do here is add like a shape kind of like this. Like one looks like a triangle and another one's kind of like an odd triangle. So you'd add that right here. So imagine you add this form here, like right here, right? And then you add another form right here, that shape like this, and you just kind of connect them together like that, and that would signify like the really rough forearms there. And then you could add your hand as a simple like odd weird looking shape like this, and then you start out simple and you can go more elaborate after this. Although this guy's arm is way too long for his torso, so this guy's surprised like a basketball player or something. All right, we're running pretty close to the end here. I guess what I could do is I can kind of like make this a little lighter, and then maybe go on top of it with a black pen for a little bit, and see what I kind of come up with like the next 30 seconds, and show you where if you were to kind of make these a little bit more fluid, and a little bit more organic, so it feels more like a superhero form, I guess. So something like this, and kind of again a very rigid form here. Yeah. So there you go. That's it for the day. I just want to kind of talk about different ways to look at the figure. and see if we can kind of get a little bit more in depth in the future. So this is just a nice little like strategy and not really a template, but just a way to kind of pursue the torso and something for you to think about. Like all I'm saying is there's different ways to go about it. There's no right or wrong way, and these are not the best of examples. Maybe on the most basic of concepts, right? But I'm trying to compact a lot of information in a short amount of time, which means I'm not able to kind of render these objects as well as I'd like, and I'd probably need more refer. I would actually have to use references as well to kind of um, come up with better strategies in the future. I hope you enjoyed today's live art stream, and I hope you learned a little bit along the process, along the way. Um, let's see here. We're going to sign this right here as a P21. What day is it? It's 265. No, 236. I'm getting everything messed up. 236. Day 236 out of 300. And then maybe in the future I'll be able to talk about these a little bit more. Maybe I won't be jumping into new things. I might just kind of fixate on one concept first. I don't know. I have ideas of doing a different body part each day, and then maybe get a little bit more micro. Maybe even spend some time implementing these on a full scale drawing and seeing if I'm able to do that. Again, digital media is not my forte, so I do struggle at like how do I do value on digital media? It doesn't work as well as charcoal. It just doesn't for me. It doesn't I can't seem to get the feeling right. But I'm getting better at it, and I hope you learned a little bit. There was a lot to kind of unpack here, and I hope you learned something about how to structure your figure drawings. So that is it for the day. I'm going to put this out. Um, Again, hope you enjoyed this. My name is Pierson. I am the #1 live art streamer in the world. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next time.